guys, Alex Corson here, and as promised, I am going to go over how you can navigate the current times right now, actually any time really, because some of you are in business and have been in business for a while, and some of you are thriving, and let's face it, some people just are not going to make it. Not you, my audience and network, totally going to make it. You guys are awesome. But the ones that are not going to, some of them are your friends, your colleagues. You've been doing this whole business thing with peers for a long time. So we want to make sure that we are staying as compassionate as possible, but still thriving in our own businesses. So with that, I wanted to give you all a couple of tips that actually I learned from my mom. She had a very, very successful marketing and public relations firm for over 20 years. And a while ago, I was part of it and helped her spin out to a couple of satellite offices. And we really kind of set her up to retire and sell off. And she did very, very well. And now she's consulting and doing whatever the heck she wants to do in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I don't know what's in Las Cruces, New Mexico, other than like rocks. But anyways, so what she came up with, and I'm sure other people have done this, but I saw her do it very, very well and in a really classy way. And I think that it works beautifully. So if you have any of your colleagues or coworkers or anybody that has just not made it, or for whatever reason, maybe they're just going out of business because they're over it and it's time and they're retiring and this is their exit strategy, and they want to move on and you are still ready to build. There's a way to capitalize on what they have already done without sounding like you're poaching. And I think it's really, really important to make sure that you are getting a warm referral, really. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, is to get warm referrals for new clients in a classy way. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this, right? If you know of a colleague that is going out of business, or as my dad used to say, out for business, you can go and say, hey, I know you're closing your doors. I really want to make sure that I'm still, out there and putting my name out there. And would you be willing to share your client list with me and do a warm introduction? I promise you that I am going to represent you to your clients, and I will treat them exactly the way that you have treated them, with all of the respect that is possibly due to them. I will take care of them and honor the same contracts that they have. That's key, because if you're honoring the same contracts that they had, maybe you're not going to make a heck of a lot of money on this, and this isn't going to be a huge margin, but it's a brand new customer that doesn't have to go hunt for a new MSP to help them, or a new service provider to help them. So they're going to be super excited. It's a way for you to say, hey, I really, this is what my timer just went off. This is what my colleague had done for you, and I really like what they've done for you, but technology has changed, and I have new recommendations at the end of the year. Because if you go back maybe like 5 videos, remember the power of reporting. Reporting helps. We like reporting. So once you're reporting on them and you're actually, auditing them through the year, and you're servicing them, and you might not be making a heck of a lot of money off of them. In fact, you might be breaking even, but it's well worth the opportunity cost, because you're not going out and having to market to them. And what you do in these situations is you pay for the referral, because this is essentially absorbing your colleagues list. If you're on good terms with them, if you have gone up to them and said, hey, would this work out for you? And they've been receptive to it, make sure that you're giving them something, because if they're going out of business because they're retiring, who doesn't need a little bit of extra, right? If they are going out of business because they couldn't make it work and they needed to move on to something, rather than having them feel like failures, don't have them feel like a failure. Pay them for what they've done, because they've built something with some active clients, and that's worth something. So pay them. That's huge. So that's option number 1, right? Going in and just taking over and saying, hey, we're going to keep your contract the exact same. We're taking over this bill. So that's number one. Number two, you could actually go up to somebody that you don't even know that well and say, hey, I hear that you're going out of business. I saw it online. Really sorry about that. Talk to me about that a little bit. I'd love to take you out for coffee. Once you have them and you're saying, listen, don't make it a total loss. Let me buy your list from you. You can absolutely pay for somebody's list. The going rate, by the way, from a marketing standpoint for a new lead or a new lead acquisition is roughly $35. This is not for a software company, but from a service provider company, the cost of a lead should be around $35 to $50. If you can get it under that to just purchase their lead list or their current client list, don't do it for their lead list. I mean, yes, you can get their lead list as well and negotiate that. But if you can get their client list and you're willing to pay for it at like $25 per and then still give that person a sales commission, a lot of times people will be very, very receptive to that too. My mom did this a bunch of times and she expanded her reach so much. That's actually the exact same strategy that we used when we were making satellite offices for her in different areas to kind of build up her business and then sell off so that we could get her into an exit strategy of her own, and she retired very comfortably. So that worked out. So it works really, really well to do it that way too. Just know the value of a warm referral and know the value of getting that information and that intel. And at that point, you already know what they're paying for their service. So maybe you could save them money by streamlining. So what the third option is, right? So you've got the take over the contract option and pay them, right? Pay them a little bit of a salary because of it. Even if it's an ongoing one, if you're just renewing them, keep on paying your colleague, because they're going to really appreciate that down the line. It's nice, free money. Who doesn't like free money? It's free money. And they worked for it. You didn't have to do anything for it. The second one is buy the list. Buy the list, know what the leads are worth, and then still give that person some sort of a sales commission because it's their list. And hopefully you negotiate that person to give you a warm referral, whether it's a phone call or a coffee, or it's just an email saying, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm going out of business, but I really want you to meet this MSP. He's going to take a really good care of you. Talk to him. It'll be great. It's almost the same as the first one. The first one you don't have to come out of pocket. So the third option is if somebody's going out of business and they're just not open to doing those warm referrals. Maybe they're just over it and they don't want to put the effort in and they just don't like the industry anymore. Buy the list outright and you don't have to pay them as a sales commission, right? So their list is valuable. Your list is valuable too. So just if you don't know that yet, if you don't know that yet, that means you didn't watch 4 videos ago where I link what your most expensive, most important asset is. Go back, watch my videos. They're important. Anyways, so when you're going over the amount that you should pay for that list, remember that $35 to $50 list buy is absolutely reasonable. For the ones that they are actually, already working with, maybe pay a little bit more. But if they're not willing to do any sort of a warm referral or an email, most people are though. They're pretty cool with doing stuff like that, especially when they're just out of it and they're ready to go. Go with option 1 or 2 first. But if all else fails, say, listen, just let me buy your list. It's a lot easier. And then you have to do the footwork, right? So the lead might be a little bit more expensive. You don't have to pay the person on the back end because you're doing essentially cold calling into a warm list that already raised their hand and said, hey, I need a managed service provider. What you know about this list regardless is they need the help. Their assistance is gone, so they need somebody. And you also know, hopefully after this conversation, what solutions that provider had in place. And if you have been paying attention to our videos and you've been going back and forth and looking at the resources that you have, you know that you can probably save money for them on a clear and concise stack, making sure that their backups are a little bit more streamlined in a, cost-effective way. Take a look at their appliances, see if they're out of date, see if they need to replace anything, and then come in, swoop in like a hero and say, hey, you know what? You need to replace this appliance. Don't worry about it. We're not going to cost you any money up front. We're just going to roll it into your contract. It's going to be XYZ now. So there's a lot you can do with this, and I learned a lot from my mom doing it this way. People end up feeling so good about you. It's ridiculous. You end up helping all of those clients. You end up hooking up the MSP that is either out of business, going out of business, retiring, whatever. And you're just basically a nice person. That's basically what this is. It's don't suck at business. But anyway, some of the people out there just aren't thinking in terms of this. And especially right now, because of COVID-19, because people are in major freak out mode, some people are closing their doors because they just didn't have the infrastructure built to support this. So instead of watching your friends shut their doors, either bring them into the fold and pay them a commission and keep them running by doing it this way. And yes, you're basically turning them into a sales guy, but that's what they did. They built up their business. They created that list. So anyways, that is my Thursday for you all, as promised. If you have liked this so far, don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bells. Right now, we're just building our little tribe. We're getting everybody focused in on how to build your backup and how to help your customers as best as possible. And I am here as a resource for you for as long as you all find this helpful. So I am just working really, really hard to work with the YouTube algorithm to get as many views as possible. So I'd really appreciate it if you all would share, like, comment, interact. Thank you so much for your support. See you next week.